of Human Rights and Accessibility for the City of Worcester. This is the City of Worcester Advisory Committee on the Status of Women. This is our regular monthly meeting. We have a fairly interesting agenda tonight. The meeting is being recorded per the open meeting law requirements. So if you do not want to be recorded, you need to bow out of the meeting because we record them for our comms team and our Cablevision team. So that's not going to change at all. I'd ask if anyone has a question during this that they use the little hand emoji symbol at the top, and the chair will, as is possible, recognize anyone that has a question if we have time. And it is 5:33 p.m. I'm going to yield to the chair just to make a few opening comments.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad that we all can come together today. We have a pretty full agenda, and we're going to get through a few reviews, and we have a guest presentation today. But why don't we start with a roll call, and then we'll jump right in.
Very good. So as a roll call of the members present, please, Chair Amaris Gonzalez.
Here.
Excuse me. Member Monica Goodwin.
Here.
Member Lauren Morocco.
Here.
Member Kate Norton.
Here.
Member Esther Boama Nyarko. She may not make it. Member Katie Roy.
Here.
Member Stephanie Silva.
Here.
And we should have a new member on, Aaliyah Marie Melville, who's our newest person appointed to this committee. Let me see if I don't see her listed on here for some reason, but hopefully she's just running a little tardy because I was really hoping that we would all get to meet her tonight. But in any event, I'm going to yield back to the chair to make a few comments and then go through the agenda. Thank you.
Alrighty, so we're going to start off with approving the minutes, and if we could all just take a couple minutes to kind of look at the minutes from last month's meeting, and then we can do a motion to approve. Has everybody had an opportunity to take a look? Alrighty, motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Oh, Pat, you're on mute.
Who was that made the second? Katie?
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. And our newest member is on here, so I'm going to bring her in really quick and take a step back for a second. Hi, Aaliyah.
Hello.
How are you?
I am well. Okay, great. You can see me mostly.
So we called the meeting to order, hoping that you were just running a few minutes late. And I just wanted to give everyone a chance to meet you, say hello to you, welcome you. Thank you for your volunteering to be a member of this committee. You and I have met and talked. So maybe you just want to tell the other members a little bit about yourself, and then they can introduce themselves to you before we run through more of the agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me put in my other AirPod here. So a little bit about me. I really try not to do this, but I love food. I love all things food. I love eating. I love cooking. I'm not really a baker, but I do make some really good brownies, and I do bake a mean mac and cheese. I love to travel. I love to fellowship, and I just like to be active in my community and amongst the peoples. And that pretty much sums it up. I've lived in Worcester all my life, almost all my life.
Jenny, did I call you for the roll call? I just wanted to be sure. Stephanie just pointed it out that I might have missed you.
I don't think so. I was also a bit distracted. So
So you're present. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
I am.
Okay. All right. I'll yield back to Amaris to maybe introduce herself, say a little bit about what's been going on, and then welcome Aaliyah to our group.
Hey, Aaliyah, so glad that you could be part of the group. We actually know each other from childhood, so I'm really glad to see that she's excited and being able to participate. Some of the things that we've been working on this year especially, we kicked off the year thinking about a mentorship program and getting feedback about that. And that requires a little bit more work and some time on our part to figure out how to make that happen. But we have some good ideas around endorsing a program and, thinking about what the mission is so that young girls can receive mentorship from women in the city of Worcester. And so that took a little bit of a pause because we began working on the Women of Consequence Awards. So every year we hold this ceremony where a young woman of consequence and a woman of consequence is awarded. Young women of consequence are high school students who are nominated from their guidance counselors or anybody in the community. And then women of consequence are nominated from community members. And so we kicked that off this year. We had a really great program. A really moving ceremony, and got to share that event with leadership in the city and with folks who are in the community. So we really felt good about how that had gone. And so now this is more of a reflective meeting, and we're going to be thinking about the processes that we have in place and how we can do better in the future. And we're also going to discuss holding leadership elections and so on and so forth. And we have a guest presentation today as well, which is a great segue into the guest presentation. We have with us Anne Marie Murphy, who will be presenting on the Worcester Wall of Women mural project for the YMCA. So Anne, I can pass that on to you.
Okay, thank you. Good to see and meet everyone. And thank you for the opportunity to tell you about this project that we're right now calling the Worcester Wall of Women. I'm here today with the lead artist for the project, Sharina Travieso, who's a very experienced Worcester public artist. A little bit of my background: I moved to Worcester 8 years ago. I have 35 years of professional experience as a researcher for the film and television industry. And when I moved to Worcester, I discovered the History Museum here and started volunteering. And through that, I developed a curiosity about a woman I'd read about there who ran a local corset factory. That turned into a huge research project, a history of the city's corset making industry, which is now a book that's about to be published called A Proper Fit. While working on that book at that library, I came across stories of a lot of other local women from the city's history that I found interesting, inspiring, very intriguing. And I had an idea that they should be in a book because there were a lot of books in that library about old white men with whiskers and not a whole lot about women. My mom suggested a coloring book format. So in March, I published Amazing Women of Worcester. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of blurring for me. Anyway, Amazing Women of Worcester. It's a coloring book that's available for sale around the city. And it features 20 women from the city's history, profiles of them, and artwork by 9 different local artists from the ages of 14 up to 30 years old. One of the artists for the book was Sharina, who's here tonight. And she asked, after the book was published in March, if we could have a cup of coffee because she had an idea to discuss. She painted the mural that is now under white paint on McGrath Boulevard on the back wall of the YWCA, the mural that was there for 10 long years. She and Deb Hall had spoken about replacing that mural, livening it up, or maybe doing something different. So in conjunction with Deb hall at the Y, we formed a committee of 12 women earlier this year. We nominated people to be on the wall, and many of them are women who are in the Worcester Coloring Book. So we've ended up with a list of almost 40 women. We've primed the wall, and we're starting to raise money to pay for the mural. And we're hoping to unveil the completed work in the spring of next year. So I'm here today just to share all this background with you so that all of you know about the project, to answer any questions you might have, and just to ask for your support in getting the word out. And I guess finally to see if any of you now or, over the next few months have suggestions for funding sources that we don't yet have in mind. So that's my 60-second, 2-minute synopsis. I'll hand it over to Sharina. She can tell you a little bit about what's going to be on the wall.
Yeah, hi everyone. The mural is inspired by Anne's coloring book. I had talked with Debbie Hall from the YWCA a couple of times, and we couldn't really figure out what we wanted to do next with the wall. So for years, it had just kind of been something that we thought about. It was up in the air. And then when I met Anne, it was kind of like putting that missing puzzle piece together, and like, why don't we turn this into a gallery of women who have made their mark in the history of Worcester, past and present. So the wall is going to be framed portraits of women. And part of the collaboration is that there will be like QR codes next to the portraits, or maybe somewhere else on the wall that'll bring people to a web page where they can learn about the different women who are on the wall. Just trying to inspire the next generation of women and tell the stories of women from our past, who are often overlooked, and who aren't in the history books. There's a lot of women who I had never even heard of. So I'm excited to learn more about these women, to paint these women, and to share them with the rest of the community.
Anyone have any questions?
Stephanie, I see your hand raised.
Awesome.
The coloring book. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Katie.
Sorry, I was just wondering if you could tell us where we can buy the coloring book. I'm very excited.
Yes, the coloring book is at 4 places in town. It's at Tidepool Books. It's at CC Lowell. It's at Worcester Wares. And it's at the Museum of Worcester's gift shop. I also have a website, cityofcorsets.com, where I've been posting over the last 5 years just updates on the Corset History Project. And there's a place there where you can order the book as well if you don't feel like going to a store.
Thank you.
Oh,
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I'm so bad with these hands. Okay, well, I love this so much. This is such an incredible thing that you're bringing to the city and much needed. Is this going to be mentioned or discussed during at any point the Museum of Worcester's Women's History Project?
Yes, the Y will have a table there, and they're going to be doing some heavy-duty fundraising at that table, I think. They've already printed up some postcards, some little promotional postcards. Sharina, do you know if they have the content at the website yet? Last time I looked, it wasn't up yet.
No, I think they were thinking of publishing all of that in mid-October.
Yeah, so I think they were going to try to have a page at the Y's website with lots of information about this project so that people can QR to it and find out more, or, send $4,000 for paint, that sort of thing. Yeah. That's in my dreamland. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a quick question. It's more of a logistical question. So for funding and fundraising, what is your guys' goal, and what do you have that you've already raised so far in donations and in in-kind donations?
Sharina, do you know the numbers so far? We didn't bring the numbers lady tonight.
No, yeah. I'm not entirely sure. I know the Worcester Arts Council gave 5,000. Clark gave 1,000, I believe. Was it Clark? No, it was the downtown bid gave 1,000. We're still in like the very beginning phases of the funding part of it. So it's not much that we've raised. The goal, I think, is about 50,000. That's to pay the artists for their work, and then also do like the website and all of the educational components, as well as like the paint and materials and things like that.
Stephanie?
Apologies if you mentioned this, but would there be like an official unveiling of some sort?
Well, in Dreamland, this is going to be unveiled in March.
Okay, yeah,
I think that's
Contingent
Dreamland,
upon the
though.
weather.
Yeah, there's the money and then there's the weather. So
Yeah.
if you ask Deb right now, she's hoping for March. I'm thinking May or June is going to be more realistic. We've got to raise some money, and then it's going to take a while. I mean, there are a lot of paintings to do. So, and I think, Sharina, were you telling me it's going to be like a couple of days for each woman, and there are almost 40 women. So, and you can't do that when it's slushy and snowy and the paint won't set. So I'm thinking my guesstimate is May, June of next year.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing.
I see a potential resource for a grant. Let's see, chat. Okay, Mass Cultural Council, great. I think that one's on the radar already, but I'll make an extra note about it.
And I see Pat.
I think it'll
Katie.
be.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nope. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So I have a question too, because I think I heard Sharina say that it's going to be individual like framed portraits, but are they going to actually be murals on the wall, and then with the like the frame is painted around it, and are they all in a similar style, or is it going to be sort of like a collection of different styles, but dependent on who paints each one? You're going to have different artists working there, I would presume.
So I think Debbie wants there to be a sense of cohesion. So they'll all kind of be in a similar style. And their frames, something that we were talking about with Anne was that their frames might give little hints to who they were or what they did, like little pencils hidden in, or little nods to the things that they've done. So they won't be completely different. They will be a little bit similar, but it'll be like the frames are painted. So the mural itself looks like kind of like a portrait wall.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then Katie, you had a question?
To throw out there as a possible resource. So I'm currently working on a project with the woman who runs the art gallery over at Holy Cross, and I don't know if that's a potential resource, but she's lovely and a wonderful just source of things. And the art gallery itself has some different funding sources for projects that they jump in on and help with. So if it would be helpful to like make an intro, if that's not a resource you already have, I'd be happy to do that.
Yes, please. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely.
Also, too, the Greater Worcester Community Foundation offers grants for arts and culture. I mean, sorry, not arts and culture, arts and creativity, and I just can't, off the top of my head, pinpoint what cycle that is. But I am going to pass along a link in the chat once I get it up, so that you can kind of take a look at the grant cycles, and I can go back and speak with my colleagues and do a follow-up to see what grant opportunities are available for the foundation.
Thank you. This is great. I think it'll be so exciting to drive by that wall.
I love the QR code idea. I feel like
Mhm.
that's so creative and just
Mhm.
learning about the folks who are actually in the community. Not that everybody isn't actually in the community, but
Mhm.
women who are in the community that you wouldn't necessarily think of day to day, and that
Mhm.
they're represented and you get to learn about them. Yeah. Any other questions or feedback for Anne or Sharina?
Thank you so much for listening, taking the time, sharing your resources. I've got a few ideas, and then I guess I can reach out if I have further questions.
We do have one other question from Aaliyah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know, I don't believe I heard it mentioned, but did we talk about maybe creating maybe a hashtag or some kind of like social media presence to go along with this? I think that would be really cool. Um, I'm not sure like what national months or days are coming up, but maybe
Mhm.
creating like a hashtag also related to Worcester to bring just more recognition to important women and also our city. That'd be really, really fun.
Great suggestion. I'll bring that to the wall committee. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Anne.
Okay.
We're
Thanks
pretty
for having
excited to hear
us.
about this. Thank you
Great.
for
Yeah, I
coming
really
in.
appreciate the time. Have a good evening.
Have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sharina.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Awesome. That
So-
sounds pretty cool.
Does really sound excellent. We have one little housekeeping thing. We have a motion made by Amaris, seconded by Katie to approve the minutes. And I just want to do a roll call, if everybody's willing. Roll call to approve the minutes as presented. Amaris Gonzalez,
Yes.
Monica Goodwin,
Yes.
Lauren Morocco,
Yes.
Katie Norton,
Yes.
Esther Boanma Nyarko. She's been
Yes.
on and off. Oh, did you say yes? Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, I did.
I noticed you've been going on and off the meeting a lot, so I didn't know if it was a technical issue. Thank you, Esther. Katie Roy,
Yes.
Stephanie Silva,
Yes.
Jenny Cow,
Yes.
Aaliyah Marie Melville.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes unanimously.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So the next thing on the agenda is to debrief about the Women of and Young Women of Consequence event and potential changes. So really just looking for everybody's feedback. What went well? What could be better? What do we need to feel more prepared? Any great ideas that we got out of that experience? And I will note that typically the Women of Consequence Award is held in March, and that usually replaces our March meeting, and it's usually on, I believe, International Women's Day is when we host that event typically. So we can consider if we wanted to move that to March. That means that this fall we would get started again on Women of Consequence Award to have the application ready by January. And yeah, so we can start with feedback. Lauren.
I'm going to start off with negative things, but I do not mean anything negative. I thought it went pretty well. It's just what popped in my head first. So I wonder if we can really push that the Young Women of Consequence is a scholarship. I know we have it in multiple places, but maybe in like above the submit button, again, like 15 different places, say like this is for Assumption, also I don't know, like some way really pushing that it's a scholarship, because I think maybe that got a little lost in translation. And then I'll just keep going. And then for for a little bit of feedback, I feel like this is more of my bias, but when reading them, some of them just didn't weren't as compelled, like the nominations weren't as compelling and didn't get the story across because they're just not good writers. And I definitely think that it weighted my vote if they were better writers, and that doesn't necessarily mean I don't mean to say this is an inconsequential award, but ultimately is inconsequential in the long run. But I wonder if like that kind of peppered what my view was on some of the awards and it would have been different. So I wonder if maybe we could figure out a way to either like tweak that, or I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that would be, but those were my two pieces of feedback. But I do think it went really well. I think the night went pretty smoothly, especially since all of us were new. And it looked like everyone had a good time. So
If I could just jump in about the scholarship, I actually have been in contact with Assumption because they reassigned another person yet again to this. And part of my conversation is essentially that perhaps we need to be connected with the bigger group of higher education in Worcester to make it, you know, a more broad group of people. Because I think just limiting it to Assumption is what really limited the scholarships, because we did have people on there who were, our first choice actually, who would refuse to come to the meeting, refuse to come, but she goes to school in Boston. So, I think, we do have some sort of mechanical things that need to be changed. Sarah Beth had some pretty good, suggestions as well, because in the end, she was the one actually receiving all of this information. And then we together tried to format how we're going to share this with everyone. She felt like the instructions need to be more explicit. She also thought that there was no listing on the application for if the person was or was not a young woman of consequence, what college or high school they were attending. It could be a simple check the box kind of a thing. We also had issues with the way the nominations were formatted and sent to us, where she was constantly receiving these things. They were illegible. And then she'd have to get back in touch and be like, this is the 3 questions you need to ask. Please send us a Word document kind of a thing. So I think we need to make that clearer. We need to make the questions more clear. And I also think that there's some type of confusion with people that they think if they submit more nominations, that it's like a numbers thing when it's not a numbers thing necessarily. I mean, obviously, I guess, I guess if I guess you could win that way if you had all of the nominations were fantastic written about you, but I don't really think that's a very good way to run a scholarship. I think it'd be better if we said, to the people that want to be nominees, give this to the person you think who can make the best overall argument or comment or suggestions about why you should be given this award, versus us getting, plastered with, some people we had 10 nominations for. Some, I think maybe even more, but they were, obviously they weren't the winners, but again, the number isn't necessarily a thing, but I think it could make it overall a better sort of result. And that's kind of the few things that she thought about. I think that the city did a pretty good job putting it out there, the information. But I think this has been going on for a while, and maybe we need to fine tune it a little bit to bring it up to 2025, soon to be 2026 standards, and people, the way they live their lives on the internet, and do what we can to make it no barriers for people to apply, and go from there.
Alrighty, thank you, Pat. We've got Stephanie who's up. We've got Jenny on deck, and Katie, you will be next.
Awesome. All right, I won't repeat because Pat, we had some of the same things, but I think overall the event went really well. I liked the flow of it. I think it was the right amount of time. I thought Julie did a phenomenal job. I thought her keynote was amazing, relevant, important. I also think that, having the city manager, mayor there is also important just for that support. And then I do think, so in terms of like ideal event planning time, like August definitely is not ideal. It's never a good time, just ever. People just aren't around. It's a tough time of year. So I would be in favor of March if we were move forward. But again, yeah, we would have to be really diligent in our time, because I think International Women's Day, right, you said, is like, that's like early March. So Yeah, we would just have to really be strict on making sure we get all the information out. And then I just think like the promotion of it was very quick. I think it was like a 2-week window from when that graphic finally hit social or on the website to when the event was. And I just wanted like 50 more people in that room. I think like the awardees definitely deserve to have more people there. So the more time we have to promote it, the more successful and well attended it would be. And then I would love to brainstorm ways in which we could get those that were nominated to actually attend. There was only one woman that was there that came. I just think it shows such support, such, camaraderie. Like and I know some of those people that were nominated, but like I didn't want to be like, why were you there? But I just think if there's a way, and maybe we reward the letter more, better, just so they could be there. Because like if even if those 10 or 15 women were there, it would have filled the room and just helped the energy a little bit more. That is all.
Thank you. Jenny?
I agree with some of the points that are presented. I think in terms of timing, I think the March timing honestly makes a lot of sense, not only because it's right around Women's History Month, but also when you consider the cycle when a student applies and goes into college, it's right around the time where they're getting acceptances and financial aid. So having that scholarship in mind too could also, sway their decisions and whatnot when they're considering what school to go to. I was also a recipient years ago, and I also do remember that I didn't go to Assumption. And so I don't know when that became the case that, we were swayed towards them being an Assumption attendance student. And so I'm certainly in favor of kind of opening up kind of the realm of which schools we can get support from in order to make sure we have more equitable ways of accessing the students with a lot of great stories and experiences. And I think in terms of nominations, I agree, like similar to our job application, I think you're limited to like 3 referrals. And I really think sometimes there are students who don't have a wide network, but they have a really one strong champion, right? And I feel like we shouldn't disqualify them because they just didn't have as big of an echo chamber behind them. And so if we limit, provide us your top 3 nominations or referrals to back kind of, the justifications why you should get this award, I think that makes a more even playing ground. And then this is just a small candid thing, but the waiting period at the beginning was quite long. I forgot if we started late or not. And so I think part of it was maybe we were waiting for the recipients to actually show up. I just didn't think we knew even what they looked like. And so I think when we identify who wins, it'd be nice when I think they send their bios to maybe send a headshot too, just so we're aware of like who's in the room and like if we have their number too, in case you have to reach out to them and see where they are, just so we're kind of a bit more, I guess, professional, making sure we're starting on time. And then I don't know what AV is like, but it's nice to have also background music playing in the background, so it kind of fills that silence as people are coming in as well. That is all for me.
Thank you. And just a note, I know that a lot of folks have mentioned Assumption. From my understanding, when I started, that the scholarship was available, but that did not mean that the student had to go to Assumption. Oftentimes, we didn't know what school they were attending because it was March. But that was available to them and to the other nominees for Young Women of Consequence. Just something to think of.
Amar, just to clarify, are you saying that in the past you think that the scholarship money could go to someone going to a different college?
No, the scholarship was available to them if they made the choice to go to Assumption.
Right.
But they didn't necessarily have to be attending. And then it is available to other nominees, Young Women of Consequence nominees, I believe. So. Right. So in terms of the applicant pool, we wouldn't have to limit the recipient to an Assumption student or potential Assumption student.
I mean, it's their money, so I think that's kind of where that came from, that they want a student, someone who's going to enroll in their school. So I this of course predates me and may predate some of you as well. So I think that my understanding is that the money for the scholarships can only be awarded to Assumption students.
Yes. No, I understand that. I was just noting that the recipient themselves don't necessarily have to be Assumption students, or planning to do so. but I want to continue to hear everyone's feedback. I'm taking notes vigorously and hearing themes. So I'll pass it on to Katie, and then Kate is on deck.
So I think, echoing a lot of what everybody else has already said, I think as far as the scholarship piece, again, if there's a way for us to get something that could be either we have a relationship with other schools in Worcester that could offer that, or if there's a funding source that could offer a scholarship that could be used for either any school or post-secondary opportunity, and that could be a trade or something to that effect. My agency recently went to our scholarship is not just for college, it's for other things. And so that's something to think about in the vein of, equity. And then as far as the nominations, I wonder if it would make sense to go to a Google form that has like required sections so that we're not missing anything and there's less back and forth. And then maybe like a character limit, I think, on some of the boxes, and maybe some like more targeted questions to help people who are maybe not the best writers to kind of tell, get to the point of what it is we're looking for. Just as a way to think about, like, I don't know, I think it was it Lauren that made the point about, people are not necessarily, we don't want to award people the award just because they happen to know people who are great writers. And I think that that's a great point. So, and then maybe thinking again about how we can limit so that we're not getting 10 nominations. I don't know if it's like Jenny said, 3 or 1 per person or something. But that said, I think overall the event was great. It was very moving. I think that, it felt really good to be in the room. I think that the coverage afterwards was awesome to see all the articles that were going around, and that part really well. And I also am in super favor of having it in March. I think that works.
Thank you. And then Kate, you're up. Aaliyah, you're on deck.
Hi, guys. Just wanted to echo something that Stephanie said. The folks that are nominees, they're really warm leads for engagement with us, and I think that's such a great opportunity. So finding some opportunity to, get them involved or engaged or have some sort of role there. And to Katie's point too, can we consider either reaching out to other schools and seeing if they'll make the same commitment, or is there any possibility of creating a scholarship fund or something like that? I don't know what that entails relative to the city. I can't imagine it's easy, but just worth throwing out there just to see if it's a possibility. That would give us a little bit of freedom, but it would also give us sort of something to rally around and grow. So just food for thought there. One last thought. I would really, Lauren, I think you got to this earlier. I would really like us to give some thought to overhauling the way that we evaluate these nominations. I think we've all shared different reasons why. I think we need something that's equitable. I think we need something that's easier to manage for you all internally with the city. But again, I feel like we're not rewarding the right things, and we're missing opportunities there.
Do anybody think that we could possibly get, in order to get the nominees there, not announce who wins until the night of the event? Like, is that, has anybody ever thought of that?
I mean, I think that I think that a way to do this is to, maybe it's a stronger outreach from a board member. So maybe it's a follow-up with a phone call, or, you know what I mean? And it's just a quick call to say, hey, I wanted you to know that you were nominated and we think you're really impressive and we'd love to have you join us at this thing. And then they've gotten a touch from one of us, and that feels, again, that idea of warm lead, like, let's make a direct contact.
Yeah, and I think maybe even in programming, we let them know that within programming, we are honoring all nominees, and we can give them an opportunity to maybe come up in some fashion, so that we can provide recognition other than just verbal recognition at the podium, Alrighty, Aaliyah, you are up. Monica, you're on deck.
Please forgive me. This is my first year being here, but I do have a question relating to the scholarships. Um, and it just popped into my head. I was wondering, maybe we can work with some HBCUs and maybe the Committee on African American and Black Affairs, so that we can have an HBCU scholarship and really promote HBCU education to high school students in the Worcester area. I think, I mean, I know for myself, it was a missed opportunity, or at least a missed experience that I could have explored more when I was in high school here in Worcester. And especially with the population of Black and African American students in Worcester, I think that that could be really great to just know that, yes, we are here overlooking all women, but we also want to make sure that our underdeserved populations, not just here, but these schools are, if they continue to lack enrollment, even though they are and lack funding, that these can go away. And these are safe spaces for not just Black and African American students, but of many students across any and all backgrounds. And we want to make sure that everybody, especially our women, have a safe space. So I just wanted to go back to that scholarship part. But yeah, just wondering if, yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great idea, and certainly a conversation that we can begin to have with the Committee for African American Affairs, and maybe the same outreach that we're doing with local universities. We can see what kind of scholarships we can develop to amplify that kind of support for young women and young women of color as well. So I think that's definitely something we can look into. Also in the chat, if you didn't see, Esther seconded your thoughts, and she liked that too. Kate agreed that we are thinking about equity beyond assumption. Stephanie also thinks that this was a great idea. Alrighty, Monica, you're up.
So I think I agree with everyone's feedback that was provided. I think it was a great event. It was really moving and motivational. I really enjoyed like the keynote and the poet that we had. They were amazing. I think just kind of piggybacking off what everyone else said, I think I agree with moving the event to March instead of the time that we had it. And then just making sure that for the young woman of consequence, I think making sure it gets like the Worcester schools, or like the Worcester high schools, just so we can get more participants. And I like what Katie said about the Google form, just to alleviate some work off of Sarah Beth, and all that she had to do.
One of the things I have to tell everyone is that the city, absolutely, we don't use Google Forms for anything. So that's, I mean, I don't want to be the rain on the parade. So I'm sure we can use Microsoft and do some other type of forms. We do that.
Yeah, they have
for some of our
SharePoint.
training
You can do
programs.
stuff on SharePoint.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Similar.
And they have Microsoft Forms.
Yes.
For your own too, so.
Yeah, I think we're using Microsoft Forms for some of the disability trainings that we're doing in City Hall right now from our office. So I want to get everybody off the Google Forms talk, because they'll come after me tomorrow. And when I get to my office, the Google police will be after me.
Awesome. So based on everyone's feedback, I've taken some notes, and I'm hearing a lot of similar overlapping thoughts. In terms of nominations, I was thinking that could be tricky because technically they are anonymous. So we really couldn't control who provides, how many people provide nominations. And if we wanted to adjust that, we would just have to think a little bit deeper on how we would transform that portion of the application.
Maybe have the nominees actually give it to someone who supports their, seeking of the award, versus it being, the other way around. Right now, we're basically making an announcement and saying to the people making the nominations, pick, write something about this person you think deserves this award. Maybe we'd be more of the, flip it around and have the people who would like the award seek a support similar to, I don't remember who said it, with the 3 referrals on it or 3 supporting nominations on their application rather than we call it strictly a nomination.
Yeah. I will say there is something special about someone getting a nomination and them being like, wait, I didn't realize I was going to get nominated for this. And there's recognition, but I do see what you're saying. I saw Esther raise her hand and then Laura raise her hand Lauren, sorry, raise her hand as well.
Sorry, I'm in commute, so I apologize for all of the talking in the back. But yes, I was going to say exactly what you just said, Amara, that I think that there is something about folks who may not feel that they deserve it. However, people within their kind of ecosystem notice the work that they're doing and nominate on their behalf. I don't know, like logistically with the forward movement of AI, maybe we'll be able to harness the power to be able to limit it one day to a certain number. But I think for now, like you said, we'd have to be real thoughtful about coming up with some kind of way to say after X amount of we're only considering X amount of nominations. So someone could have 20, maybe we're only considering the first 5, the first 3, whatever have you, to be fair, X, Y, Z. But my other comments are that I like all of the ideas folks are bringing forth. As someone who wasn't able to attend this one, but has attended a couple others, I also agree that the March timing just happens to be a better fit for when people are making decisions. As far as us expanding to other schools, I like that idea. I do like Aaliyah's idea of promoting other, HBCUs. I think that, as Stephanie said, perhaps this particular space is really a platform for Worcester higher ed, but I think we can find ways maybe to slip in information about other options that maybe folks don't know about, even if we're not necessarily providing scholarships to them, but providing information. And I'm not sure if this year we did like an interactive activity as we have tried in the past. I know that one time we did try to get folks to give us some of their thoughts on a question. I know it didn't quite work out how we hoped. I don't know if we tried something like that this time, but maybe that's something we might want to thoughtfully bring back to engage folks as there's music playing, to kind of keep people networking, talking, doing something so that it doesn't just seem like people are waiting around for something to start. And I know that if we do want to get that March deadline together, I think that means that we'd have to kind of get our butts in gear like now, because we'd have to start thinking about making some of those connections now so that we could get that information out as soon as possible. I'm sorry, I'm in commute, so some of what I'm saying may be incoherent, but that's kind of what I have for now. If I remember the rest of it later, I'll hop back on and tell y'all or put it in the chat.
Thank you, Esther. So some themes I'm seeing here are we've talked about the timeline, we've talked about equity, we've talked about visibility. It sounds like we all collectively agree that March is the ideal time. And it sounds like we all collectively agree that to be more equitable, we need to review the application, the process, and we need to rework it, potentially changing the questions, and creating more visibility so that it's more accessible to folks in the local Worcester schools, but in the community in general. Nominations seems to be a challenge that we all are thinking of, but haven't quite bogged down exactly what, like, a solution for it for now. And then in terms of the event itself, we want to foster engagement at the beginning of the event, and to make sure that our ducks in a row, we want to make sure that we are doing some some outreach personally from the committee to nominees and making sure that we're collecting information such as bios, headshots, phone numbers, so that we can streamline communication.
Maybe
Does
we
that-
can include that on the applications too, that, that might be hard, actually, now that I'm thinking if we're gonna continue with nominations.
Yeah, maybe for the awardees themselves, that could be some simple outreach, but oh yeah, I guess to contact the nominees. Maybe that's something maybe we can flesh out as we discuss it a little bit more. And then the final piece is thinking about scholarships and making that more equitable. How can we get more buy-in, whether it's from local schools, or having discussions with the city themselves to create a scholarship fund, if that is an option. And then looking into partnerships or conversations with HBCUs and providing information to other opportunities for post-secondary education and opportunities generally to folks who are attending. Does that feel like that has captured everything or most everything we've discussed?
I think so. I think if we're gonna refocus our efforts to March, I think we have to look at the HBCU issue as a separate project from the Women of Consequence. And I think we could even tackle that partially with our website presence with the city. Maybe we gather up a few of us to, to create something on our website promoting HBCUs and maybe have like testimonials from people that we know possibly or something like that. But I see that somewhat as a distinct thing to the Women of Consequence and Young Women of Consequence. And I also don't think we could even possibly get all of that done by March, with the holidays coming up. And so I think we have to sort of prioritize things. If we're going to do it in March, it basically takes our agenda right now that we have discussed upcoming meetings and topics and kind of tosses that out because it would be this primarily. I mean, obviously, we only have a very short amount of time to organize these things. I think the mechanics of the award ceremony in March are less than all of these sort of proposed changes. That's the bigger thing in my mind, because now that Sarah Beth and I have done it once, we're already like, oh, we know exactly what we need. We know exactly who to call. We know all of this stuff now. So that's the easy part. It's the other part that we need to fix up.
Yeah, and I think what we can do is have a list of like long-term priorities that maybe we can be working on, that the outcome isn't to achieve the goal by March. And then in the short term, we are planning and prepping for the next event. And then
Definitely.
I saw Leah's hand and then Kate's. Kate is on deck.
Yeah, so this goes back to my idea about the scholarship. So I'm thinking to continue education. If we are promoting Worcester schools, then maybe we can partner with an HBCU that will provide that university or Worcester graduates with scholarships for graduate schools or to continue their education. Just wanted to tie that in. And I think that could be a really cool and unique opportunity if we were to partner with Assumption on that specifically. But even if we were just to partner with our Worcester schools post-grad, to continue education, well, yes, now you have an array of our HBCUs. And I, for one, know a lot of people who have gone to an HBCU and HBCUs who are doing wonderful, wonderful things and amazing, influential things in this world. And part of that is because of the education, the community, and love that they received at, going to such a place. And I think that should be available for everybody.
Thank you, Aaliyah. I think how we can plan to maybe tackle some of these things. I know in the past, from when I just started on the committee a while back, we sometimes did subcommittees. So maybe in thinking about the women of consequence, we can create themes, and if folks want to focus on communication, application or whichever we come up with, then the scholarships would be in one bucket as well. And then that's something that a couple of us can work on, so that individual work brought together creates the outcome that we're looking for. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Aaliyah. Kate.
Oh man, it's gone.
It's okay, it'll come back.
Oh man, that happened so fast. Oh God, it's totally gone. Forget it. Sorry.
No worries at all. Yeah, so
I think we agree that we're going to focus towards the March date.
Wait, I remembered.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm
Go
so
for it.
sorry. I'm so sorry. So if we refocus towards March, and it sounds like we're going to undergo some pretty significant, we have the potential to undergo some pretty significant ways that we approach this as an award, as a scholarship program, as a, in terms of outreach and buy-in from other places. I wonder if this March is, if we think about this March as a bridge event. So I don't actually know what it takes for, Pat, maybe you could help with this. Like what if we were going to do a scholarship fund? Do those exist at the city level? What does that look like?
I'm sure they exist, but I mean, obviously that's not, they exist in Worcester. I'm 100% sure of it. But as far as the city doing it, I think that's a real stretch, financially, that it's not going to happen. I think, kind of, you're saying what I'm saying is that if we're going to do it in March, fine, but let's pick one thing to improve upon for this March. And then we have a whole year after that to kind of focus on the broader picture. Going forward. So my suggestion would be that we sort of pump up the nominee / application process. And along with that, we could, sort of work on a collateral issue, which is the media sort of outreach piece of it, because they kind of go hand in hand in my mind. I'm sure you probably agree, because that's what you do for work. But we cannot tackle every single thing for March. It's just not feasible.
Right. Well, and thinking about this as like a bridge event, I mean, it's also an opportunity for us to be doing something around the time of, International Women's Day. Like maybe there's an opportunity to lean into that theme and lean in a little less hard, or at least like diversify the event a little bit and see if we can draw in some more people for, to sort of elevate that.
It's a huge day. International Women's Day is a huge celebration everywhere but in the United States.
Right.
So.
Yep. I'm not going to editorialize on that one, but yes.
Katie, I see your hand.
Yeah, I have, what if, this is maybe crazy, but what if could we have an event in March that is not the Women of Consequence Award and did like a networking celebration, sort of like same space, same people, just to kind of like promote ourselves as a committee, maybe talk about some of the things that we're interested in doing, and then use so we sort of like lap ourselves so that we have like the full year plus to really like revamp the award, get some scholarship opportunities in place, and just kind of like unveil it as a completely new process and event.
I think we could. I think we could have our own sort of ACSW women International Women's Day celebration. Plain and simple. I mean, obviously you might want to call it something more broad, but yes, I think that would be very doable. More of a social sort of networking and recruitment type of event for International Women's Day.
Yeah, I honestly think that's a great idea. That would give us the time to really dive into all the changes that we want to make, and we can be more intentional with our time. And what a great relaunch, Women of Consequence Awards 2027, and we can spend 2026 gearing up and getting ready for it. And it sounds like we've got a lot of great ideas. So.
Okay, so I think we're all in agreement or you all are in agreement that we'll focus on an International Women's Day event for March.
Yes.
We can also collaborate on what we're gonna call it. And then part of this event will be to announce that, we're gonna revamp the Women and Young Women of Consequence for March of 2027.
Sounds great. Stephanie, I see your hand.
Do you think it would lose momentum skipping a year? I don't know. I don't know if like not doing it at all in 2026 makes sense. Personally. Like
Well,
why
I
not
just
push
kind
it
of
to
wonder-
September? Like could we do both? Like cuz could we do like a little cute little thing in March and then still have all of I don't think March would be as big of a lift as obviously the Consequence Award. I'm just
Are you-
nervous whenever you stop doing something, it tends to lose its impact.
Are you thinking of doing the March and then doing the Women of Consequence later in the year then, or?
Yeah. I would advise against doing it again in August, but then maybe doing it like in event season, which is September or October. But yeah, I don't know. I just worry that if we just like don't do it at all, we would have to like really push in 2027 to get it back to like, what it is.
I do think though, if we push it to September, we do run into the same challenge of, oh, now we've got to plan an event in March and well, I guess we would have had all this time. Still thinking through my thoughts. So I'm going to let that
Yeah.
I'm not sure who raised their hand first. I see Kate, Lauren, and Katie. I don't know. Lauren? No? Kate?
Kate was first.
I'll just say it. Thank you. I'll just say it really quick. I mean, I'm all for not wanting to lose momentum and all of that, but I would argue that that event didn't have any momentum. And I think that would be the idea, right? That we do want to take a step away from it and we want to think about this in a whole different way, including how do we elicit nominations? How do we, get into Worcester schools in a different way? How do we where are we sending, like, what are our networks look like as these things come out? Like, what's our game plan as board members? So I don't know. I think I hear that, and I don't want to throw things out for the sake of throwing them out, but I do think it does give us an opportunity, and that's the whole idea. Like, this didn't, it worked for what it was, but we know we can do it so much better. You know what I mean? That's all. That's my 2 cents for it. I hear you, Steph. I'm sort of torn,
I was gonna say pretty much the same thing. So, as I fully agree with you, Stephanie, that typically when you have an event and there's a lot of people, and you're so good at events too, so I don't want to discredit what you're saying at all. But I think if we boil down the nominations to like singular people, there weren't like a plethora of different people that we were getting nominations for, and the attendance was a little underwhelming. So if we could revamp it, great. And if not, it's going to be the same relative amount of nominations and attendance as the year before, is my guess. But we're going to try something new, I hope, and we'll see what happens.
Alrighty. And then Katie will be the final comment, and then we'll kind of see where we land on this, because we had to just be conscious of time so we can kind of move through the agenda.
I just wanted to reiterate the part about scholarships, that March is, I think, a little bit easier for people who are applying than like September would be, because then it would be like lapped around for the following year. And I think the other thing that comes to my mind is that if we have an event in March and then we have an event in September, while I agree it's a great point, Stephanie, not to lose momentum, then we as a committee have become an event planning committee, and I would like to see us accomplish some additional things this year. I love the Women of Consequence. I think it's great. I think it highlights a lot of really great things, but I also think we should be thinking about what else the function and mission of this committee is.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. I think I think that if we did a launch in 2027, we can continue to talk about the Women of Consequence Award. We can still hold ourselves accountable to it. That could be in our communication to the community as we are revamping the application process, and saying that we're really being intentional and looking forward to the event in March. I do know that logistically, this can kind of be a lot on the committee since we only meet monthly. So I know that this is also takes a lot of our time too. I am for having it in 2027. Is this something that we think we should put to vote?
I think we do need to have a vote, and something to the effect of the committee is going to vote to postpone the Women of Consequence to be revamped until March of 2027, and then the alternative elect to have a celebration of International Women's Day in March of 2026, if that's what everyone or the majority agree to.
Okay. I'm going to try to repeat that. Could we, is this a motion or am I just asking everybody to vote?
You can just make the motion and I will use my language that I just use when I draft the minutes. How's that?
Perfect.
So motion,
all right.
okay. So we have a motion by Amaris to propose, as I just stated, that we suspend the Women of Consequence, Young Women of Consequence, to March of 2027 as it's being revamped. And in lieu of the 2026 March celebration, propose to do a International Women's Celebration in March of 2026. So I need a second, please.
Second.
Lauren, second. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So I'm going to do a roll call, please, for the motion for, as I just stated, for March 2027 and March 2026. Amaris Gonzalez,
Yes.
Monica Goodwin,
Yes.
Lauren Morocco,
Yes.
Kate Norton,
Yes.
Esther Boama Nyarko,
Yes.
Katie Roy,
Yes.
Stephanie Silva,
Yes.
Jenny Cow,
Yes.
and Aaliyah Marie Melville.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries.
All right. So I guess after we discuss holding leadership elections, we can maybe talk about at that point what the next meeting would look like and what portions of Women of Consequence we want to focus on for next month's meeting. So the next topic on the agenda is discussing leadership elections. So before we jump into that, I did want to share some news, which I have grappled with just for a little bit, and I wanted to let everybody know that I will be what is the word? I will no longer be a part of the committee. And moments like these are really great, and what has made me kind of hold on, because I love having a pulse on what's happening on the community, connecting with other women in our community, and getting to be a part of building really great opportunities and experiences. My appointment has expired technically, and I could reappoint. I'm just realizing that I don't have the capacity that I used to, and I feel really confident in the leadership and the group of ladies we have on this committee. So I am willing to be chair until a new chair is elected, and happy to help out in any capacity that the group needs. But I did want to share with everybody that I will be moving on soon. But also to really encourage you all to think about leadership roles on the committee, because I think you guys are wonderful, and I've seen a lot of really good work. And I also really enjoyed getting together with everybody and having drinks and getting to know you all and the things that you do day to day. So for leadership elections, there are 3 positions that are available. So chair, vice chair, and Pat, there's one more. Is it clerk?
It's clerk, and if I could also just further define that this is just an announcement right now in terms of we're not looking for anybody to be nominated tonight, but I think for the next meeting, we should plan on actually holding elections. So we would take nominations right at that meeting and then vote on the nominations for the leadership of the committee. So that gives everybody some time to think about it.
Yeah, and Pat, would you be able to kind of just share with everybody maybe what the roles and expectations are for each role so that folks can kind of think about that before
So the
next
roles
meeting?
and expectations of the leadership of any of the committees and commissions are that they interact directly with me in my office and Kevin when things come up and we need sort of information that's directly from the community. We reach out a lot of times to board and commission membership. You know, we work on these meetings together. We work on planning things together. There, you have a very big say on what your agendas look like and what we're going to plug into the agendas. Obviously, the clerk of the commission would or committee would be the person taking the minutes, so it would relieve me of that duty. Although I have trained everyone who's on other committees that I'm the staff liaison for. I don't just dump it on people. There's a way to, you know, teach people how to do it that makes it effective and not terrible. And I don't think it would be terrible for this group either because we don't have 4-hour meetings like some of the other boards and commissions with archival type, you know, note taking. So I don't think it's a heavy lift at all. But that's the leadership roles in a nutshell. Obviously, the chair runs the meetings. The chair can designate the vice chair or the clerk in their absence if, like, let's say the chair was not going to be able to make a meeting. And that's about it.
Does anyone have any questions? No. Cool. Well, I hope you guys all consider leadership on the committee. I think any one of you will do a wonderful job. Happy to connect outside of the committee, grab drinks, grab dinner, whatever you guys would like. I'd love to hang. But yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah. And so our last meeting, our last item on the agenda is upcoming events and topics. So how it's been done in the past, we've kind of outlined what the year would look like and then what are some events that are clearly happening. And so, for example, we now know March, that meeting is accounted for. We will be doing an event on March. So then some meetings will have to have some planning. We should also think about, do we want guest speakers or is there another priority that we'd like to focus on for the year? Ideally, how I have approached this is thinking about 1 to 2 goals for the committee, especially because Women of Consequence usually takes up a lot of our time. That's usually one main goal. But also, too, at the end of the year, we should be able to make recommendations to the city of Worcester, which I don't know that we've always been successful at. I think we've had some really great guest speakers from the city, received a lot of really interesting data about women's health, about benefits, employment benefits in the city, things of that nature. But we haven't had an opportunity to kind of use that information that we got from those guest speakers and either make recommendations to the city or put efforts into another event or priority. So those are things we can think of. What are our 2 to 3 priorities? I think this year we focused on visibility and growing the committee, which we did. We focused on Women's Consequence Award, and we focused on the mentorship program, which we got pretty far in, and then we were met with some challenges and still thinking about how to rethink that. So I think, I don't know if that's something we revisit next meeting, but let me open up the floor for everyone to share. I see Kate.
I would love to see us do something that uplifts or does something for women-owned businesses in Worcester. If there's some kind of like women's business directory or, something like that, thinking about that, particularly responsive to sort of what's going on in the world right now too. These are, the economy's tough. These are small businesses that really need the uplift. They're local, they're Worcester. So whatever that criteria looks like, but I'd like to toss that on the table for consideration in some fashion.
Thank you. Katie, I see your hand as well.
Yeah, I would like to revisit the mentorship. So as many of you know, I ran with the idea of that we came up with. So there is a Empower Women and Girls, High School Girls Mentoring Group that is happening once a month. I would love to be able to get the woohoo from this committee and then be able to like utilize those networks to grow that program. And so I think, in earnest, maybe this year figuring out what needs to be done. I know we needed to have a few to choose from, and we haven't been successful in having other people present to give us those to choose from. So I would like a revisit.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for that. Any other ideas that we want to think about? And then we can maybe summarize and get a timeline going real quick. No? I think that's okay. I think we've identified 3 solid ideas: amplifying women's businesses, revisiting the mentorship program, and working on Women of Consequence event. And I think those are really good priorities to have. And so I know that the Women of Consequence planning will be occurring pretty much all of fall. But we should make room in the agenda to talk about these 2 items every meeting. But maybe we can, by next meeting, think about maybe some deadlines or outcomes we want to see throughout the year.
And also where we left off with particularly the mentorship program was, yes, I know we want to get Katie's program in front of us to hear the nuts and bolts and the particulars, but we do really need to hear from a couple others. So if anybody knows of other programs, let's get them to come in and do a presentation. Ideally, I would like to do that all in one meeting if we get 2 or 3, so that we can accomplish that one goal and then decide which program we would really like to endorse. But if that's not possible, we'll have to look at it over the course of a few months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any questions about upcoming meetings or topics? Alrighty. Well, that adjourns our meeting then. And we look forward to seeing everybody next month.
Thank you, everyone. If anybody has anything, just email me or whatever at the office. I'm pretty responsive to emails. And then if anybody has connections with any of the local colleges, I'm trying to expand that scholarship thing sort of in an organic way without making assumption feel bad or that we're not going to focus on them or whatever, because they have been a partner to us. So it's a little bit of a delicate thing right now, but I do feel like we have so many other schools in Worcester that, why can't we look at all of them collectively to be, a partner in this? Amaris, I'm going to miss you.
I'm gonna miss you guys. I'll come. I'll be a member of the public, just sitting there.
All right, everyone, have a good evening. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.